The music and the performance and the fashion are one. I don't separate my art from my life. It is one whole thing.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, Patrick.
I'm Patrick.
And I'm Tom, and this is Chewing on Pearls, the show where we dissect and decipher Lady Gaga's chameleonic career and its impact, one pearl at a time.
So we're back to continue our series celebrating 15 years of Born This Way. In this episode, we'll be covering the video treatment for the second single from the album, Judas. Judas. I had to get it out of the way up top. I just had to get one out right now.
I have a feeling it's not the last time we'll hear.
I know.
Written and produced by Lady Gaga and Red One, Judas explores themes of love and forgiveness, with Gaga using the biblical betrayal of Jesus of Nazareth by Judas Iscariot as a conceptual framework to discuss her continual forgiveness of a lover, her own refusal to repent for her creative choices, and her desire to embrace the darkness of her past. The song is an electropop house track, clocking in at 131 beats per minute. You know, I thought that I was like, is this the fastest song on Born This Way? No. A lot of the songs are up there like this, which is very fun and exciting. And the track's structure, as well as Gaga's performance on it, embody numerous iconic Gaga-isms that I feel like she had established up until this point in her career. The song was scheduled for release during Holy Week in 2011 on April 19th, but was instead dropped on April 15th, 2011, just a few days before Palm Sunday. We'll get more into Holy Week later, but it is, I would like to dispel the rumor that Gaga dropped Judas on Easter. She did not drop Judas on Easter. She dropped it on a Friday this is back in the times when people were releasing music on Tuesdays. So she was a little bit early dropping on a Friday because she wanted Little Monsters to have it for the weekend at the club, or so she said. But yeah.
The song peaked at number 10 on the Billboard USA Hot 100, and in 2025, it peaked at number 34 on the Spotify Global Chart, where it has over 1 billion streams. That's nuts.
Crazy.
The single cover was designed by Gaga in Microsoft Word. She photographed it for texture. So the official cover shows a slight reflection of her face and her hand holding her BlackBerry in her computer screen. Her BlackBerry that was glued to her hand in 2011. She was like, I love being a BlackBerry user.
Yeah,
she was all about it.
I just love that we're talking about a single cover designed in Microsoft Word as well.
Literally, yeah. And like her posting about it, like being like, the treatment for the texture. It's like, girl, that's a phone pic.
Insane. And I'm also like, was it designed in Microsoft Word, or did she drag and drop the graphic into a Microsoft Word file to easily take a photo of it? You know what I mean?
Right,
I don't think she built this graphic. Who knows, though? I don't know.
Who knows? Honestly, yeah. It's like shapes. Insert shape. Yeah.
Yes. So the Catholic League, which is a private organization that protects the rights and representation of Catholics in the United States, they're not formally or legally associated with the Catholic Church, but they love to be like, we protect Catholic Americans. They denounced the song and music video after its release due to Gaga's portrayal of Mary Magdalene in the music video and the song's supposed glorification of Judas. Gaga addressed the controversy by stating that, quote, "The only controversial thing about this video is that I'm wearing Christian Lacroix and Chanel in the same frame." She also noted that her goal was to illuminate that without Judas's betrayal, the prophecy of Christ's resurrection would not have been fulfilled. Thus, her own mistakes must be treated as a part of her destiny. Beyond the famed tale of Judas's betrayal, the song's lyrics allude to other stories from the New Testament, including the washing of Jesus' feet by Mary of Bethany, Mary Berry of Metheny.
I've met her. Yeah.
I mean, that's a drag name.
Yeah.
And the Apostle Peter's denial of Christ 3 times during his arrest and trial.
The music video was filmed between April 2nd and April 4th of 2011 and was released a month later on May 5th. It currently has over 586 million views on YouTube.
Yeah.
As it should.
And we just gave it a bunch more this week.
Yeah,
so.
totally. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like totally filmed at like Universal Studios, right? Like part of it, like
I believe so.
The water.
Yes.
I'm like, I think that's like the Jaws ride or something, like something silly like that. Yeah.
It's a very much LA-ified video.
You can see
and I think you can
Disney. Yeah, you can see Disney in the background in like the first second of the video when they're on the motorcycles. It's like, that's Mickey's like wizard hat.
Right. Gaga was like, we're creating the new Jerusalem. And I'm like, I think LA is the farthest thing.
Right. Yeah. Honestly.
But yeah, go off. The video was shot on 35 millimeter film, which is really cool. Gives it this very rich quality. Lady Gaga stars as Mary Magdalene. Norman Reedus stars as Judas. Rick Gonzalez as Jesus. The video was directed by Lady Gaga and Laurieann Gibson. This was Lady Gaga's directorial debut.
With her quote sister, Laurieann. Yes.
That saga will run in the background of this series for sure.
Which, how ironic that this whole video and song is about betrayal and forgiveness. And here we are.
I've like hit the soundboard.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So Laurieann, of course, did the choreography and creative direction, fashion by Nicola Formichetti. The styling assistants were Anna Trevlin and Brandon Maxwell. Amy Danger was the art director. Director of photography, Maz McConney, I'm sorry. Editor, Adam Zuckerman. Visual effects by Baked FX. Makeup by the one and only Val Garland. And hair by Freddie Aspiris.
Ding dong.
Right. The music video for Judas reimagines the days leading up to Jesus' crucifixion. For context, the week prior to Easter is known as Holy Week. And I did want to fill in a little bit about what that is and what we're kind of seeing in the video, because I think I underestimate, or I think that people know this, but there's like so much context. First of all, Holy Week starts with Palm Sunday, and then a week later is Easter Sunday. And so in the Bible, in the New Testament, the story is that, you know, Jesus is fulfilling this prophecy from the Old Testament that the Messiah arrives to the city and people celebrate him and worship him. And so Jesus has been doing miracles and collecting followers in the area, and he arrives to Jerusalem and everyone is geeked. They're like, you raised a man from the dead a couple of days ago. Like, what the hell? And then, so it's all like very happy. And then a couple days later, like Jesus is like preaching in the temple and he's like, you shouldn't be collecting tax in the temple and someone's going to betray me. He's like speaking this prophecy. And then on Wednesday of Holy Week, Judas takes a bribe, which fulfills another prophecy, which is that the Son of God would be sold away for 30 pieces of silver. And that's exactly what happens. Thursday is the Last Supper and Jesus's agony in the garden, where he's praying to God and saying, like, is this really what I have to do? Do I really have to accept death? And he accepts his fate. He goes back to the dinner. He's washing the apostles' feet. And sure enough, the religious officials of the area come to arrest him. Judas kisses him on the cheek to signify that this is the leader, and they arrest him. And then on Friday is his trial and crucifixion. And on Sunday, raises himself up from the dead. So it's a crazy week. Like Holy Week, more like crazy week.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
She was booked.
Yeah, she was booked.
She's like reading the prophecies like, girl, I got a lot to do.
Yeah, she's like, 2 numbers?
Yes,
I thought it was 1. Yeah.
Yes.
Damn.
And Mary Magdalene is this interesting figure in Christian, lore because in the Bible, it's noted that Jesus heals her, rids her of some demons. But in the year 600-ish, there was a pope. I forget his name. A pope kind of decided to go back to these stories and merge three women together. So Mary Magdalene was this apostle who he healed, who was the first person to see him raised from the dead, and report that back to the apostles. And then there was this other woman who was a prostitute. I know that that's a tricky word, but I'm saying it because it's the biblical word, and Gaga says it in this song.
Right.
I think it's fair. And Jesus, forgave her sins. And then there's Mary of Bethany, who was the sister of Martha, who, Jesus raised their brother Lazarus from the dead. And so this pope decided to merge these three women into one. And so there's this conception of Mary Magdalene as all of those things, which is really interesting, I think, because I think the reason I wanted to call that out is because I think Gaga clearly, lyrically, and in the video embodies all of those kinds of the merged conglomerate identity of Mary Magdalene in this video. And in Gaga's version of events, she plays a very doting Mary Magdalene who's closely intertwined with the apostles, often accompanying Jesus, but frequently eyeing Judas. The reimagination places Jesus at the center of a biker gang that arrives at their hideout called the Electric Chapel, while Judas continually starts trouble and Mary Magdalene is visibly torn between the two men as Jesus is sentenced to death. The video has been visually compared to Madonna's Like a Prayer, as well as the films Romeo and Juliet, The Wild Angels, and Our Lady of the Assassins. I've only seen Romeo and Juliet, so I can't speak to the other two. Much of the criticism of the video at the time speculated that the choreography and aesthetic palette felt like familiar territory for Gaga and that the narrative element of the video wasn't exciting or shocking enough. Of course, there was backlash because of the religious content, but cultural critics at the time were we thought this would be crazier. Which is interesting because Laurieann Gibson went on record to say that the video contained a revelation that may shock people, as well as to say that there were two different directions for the video's narrative, with certain unnamed elements she fought against because of her own faith. So there were two ideas of how the video would end, and we don't know what the other idea was, interestingly. But she really fought it. And so this, as you spoke to, is the beginning of a schism.
Yes. Which is just so serendipitous. It's like kismet that it happened while designing and creating this world about a betrayal.
Yeah. And, eventually, and we'll get into it, I think, more when we talk about Edge of Glory and You and I, because Laurieann was involved with You and I, but that was the end of their collaboration. She went on the record to say that she felt like the brand was getting too dark, and that it was too dark for Gaga's fans, who she viewed to be all children, which is interesting. I don't think that was true at the time. I think we were children at the time, for sure.
Right, yeah, totally.
But she definitely had adult fans. So anyway, we're going to get into this video. If you haven't watched it recently.
Thank you for taking us to church, because, I am not a religious person, and I vaguely know the kind of gist, if you will, but I really didn't know that about the three Marys, and that is very enlightening.
Yeah, and one of them, the third kind of identity that they've merged into Mary Magdalene, is unnamed in the Bible, actually. So it's a funny thing, but I think it really lends to this oppression of women, which is we can only have two female archetypes. There can't be these sisters who are mourning a dead brother, and then this unnamed sex worker, and then this apostle who's the first that Jesus appears himself to. Like, we need to have a bad woman, and then we need to have a good woman who's his
Good
mother.
woman. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Let's get into this video, though, because I did want to say, like, this video is special to me for a number of reasons. Raised Catholic, still kind of identify as culturally Catholic. My dad is a biker. And so this is one where even to this day, if we just have YouTube up on the family TV, this is the one where me, my mom, and my dad, like, they're so plugged in to it because it's so our culture. And that's really fun.
Right.
So the video opens with a very cinematic, desaturated shot of a bunch of bikers flying down this LA highway. And it's revealed to us in these close-up shots that these are the apostles because they have these leather jackets on with their names, you know, Thomas, Peter, John, across the back with skull and crossbones. And we see Gaga, and she's not as desaturated. She's in this purple cat suit with this urine blonde hair and heart-shaped sunglasses. And she's kind of, you know, she's on the back of somebody's motorcycle. He's wearing a helmet. Who could it be? And this other biker starts to approach her on the back of the bike. And she kind of makes this meaningful, longing eye contact toward him. And he kind of glances at her. And it's revealed that this person is Judas. And he looks like a bad boy. And that's like kind of when the video or like the music kicks in. And it gets kind of fierce from there on.
It does get kind of fierce. It's choreography that is about to happen.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, no, it's insane. And I think that there's something about this opening shot that sets up the world better than like anything else in the video in a way, because it, like, you see the other vehicles passing on the other side of the freeway and you're like, this is a music video. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you know, and
well,
it's just like in our world.
Yeah, that's what's so funny about it, because the rest of the video is like obviously very like on a set that they built and like it is its own little world, but it's like, yeah, bitch, that's the highway. Disney's in the background, other cars are driving by, and it's like, oh, there goes Mary Magdalene and her biker gang. Like, I love it. I love the moment. It still takes my breath away where it flashes. It's like the first time we see Gaga in like full color and her full face, and she looks so beautiful and she's smiling. And it's like the hair color is a little different. The makeup is a little deeper. It's like we hadn't seen this kind of glam yet. And it's like breathtaking.
It's like some movie magic stuff too, because the shots on the highway, she's wearing the same look, but the hair's kind of different and the makeup's a little different. And the guy that, you know, she's actually on this motorcycle with someone riding the bike. But then it cuts to a green screen version where the actor who is portraying Jesus is not wearing a helmet and is, you know, on display for us to see. And she's doing her wah in his ear.
Yeah. And it's like ring light, glam, like beautiful hair. Like, Yes,
totally. And even just the shot of her turning around on the bike to look at Judas, like one of my favorite. I'm like future Oscar nominee. In this beauty shot that you just described where she's looking flawless, Jesus is wearing this custom hand-carved crown of thorns that has all of these Swarovski crystals on it. It's gold-plated, and he's wearing this like sick chain with all of these crosses and like mixed metals, and his leather jacket, of course. And he's hot.
Yeah. I think
this is like,
why I was just going to say, I think that's why people are like uncomfortable by like the people that are uncomfortable with this video is like, oh, you're just uncomfortable with sex, which like, you know, no brainer. American culture. We're obsessed with it. Can't talk about it. Can't think about it. Can't. Yeah. But like, they're like, wait a minute. I want to fuck Jesus. Hot. What's going on? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I don't think that this video is overtly sexual.
No,
like
but there is
in any
that
way.
one. There is that 1 second with the guy who's like incredibly ripped in the background. I remember that GIF was like all over Tumblr.
Yeah, like he has low-rise jeans.
Yes, it's like classic gays. Like the 3 seconds of like a naked man. They're like plaster it
Yeah,
everywhere.
totally. But like Jesus, Lady Gaga's dynamic with
Also,
Jesus and
Jesus.
Judas, yes, also Jesus, is very like lovey-dovey. I'm protecting my man. Like it's very
Yes.
that. It's not like I want to write it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's very sweet.
But anyway, that whole opening sequence is like pure cinema, and then we get really into like the music video of it all. Like it's looks, it's fashion, it's makeup, it's hair, it's sets, it's dancers, and they're kind of pulling up to this rustic getaway,
Which I'm
so that
like,
Gaga can get
is
off that
this?
motorcycle and dance.
Yes. Oh, she looks so hot. The cape is caping. When she comes
Yes,
in and it's just and it catches the wind and they like pull around the corner. Oh, it's so
right.
satisfying.
It kind of like reminds me in a reverse deja vu way of Gaga on the red carpet for House of Gucci,
Yeah.
where she's wearing the purple.
Yes,
Yeah.
totally. Well, and that's the purple of it all too, right? If we're believing that we're in this kind of neo Jerusalem, like purple, correct me if I'm wrong, was like not everyone was just wearing purple. Like that wasn't a hue that was easily
Right.
attainable. So it's
Yeah,
like,
I believe in this time, like purple and blue were royal colors because they
Right.
were so hard to obtain. And it's just like the fabrics are so lush.
Yeah.
It's like simultaneously doing this like urban reimagination in LA of the Jesus and the Apostles, but also it's like they're loaded. Or at least she is.
Well, but that's what's also so funny is that it's like kind of the high low in this whole video where it's like
Yes.
the apostle jackets, like those patches are so like you could just like go to a store and buy that, like
right.
And like some of the
It
costume
is.
jewelry, but then it's like we got like La Croix and like shit like that in the video too, where it's like, oh, that's like a major fucking pull. Like
Right. I feel like that's such a hallmark of the Born This Way aesthetic.
Right.
From like the details of makeup and wigs, like little details, to these like big projects where they're shooting on film. It feels like Hollywood, and then the dancers are like in this knitwear.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Like
let's I know we're kind of going off the narrative path, but let's talk about the dancers because
let's talk about this first dance scheme.
Yes. So the dance costumes I think are so funny because it is exactly it's like luxe knitwear with like trashy band tees and like ripped up like hand-me-down stuff, which I love. And it's just like, oh, in New Jerusalem, like we wear our like linen pants with our like Grateful Dead t-shirt. Like it's just very silly to me.
Yes.
And it's like a reflection of her fans and like how they look. Like they're in graphic tees.
Right. It's funny because when Gaga is she's in this red look that was made by Perry Meek. It's like red velvet with cross pasties and a little like high-low skirt fabric piece. That's when they're all in the knitwear, and like I guess I get that conversation, but then it's spliced with Gaga in like the black version of the velvet bra with the pasties and a leather jacket and a bandana, and they're all in like these designer recycled Harley t-shirts and stuff.
Right.
But it is this kind of, it does like blur these two kind of aesthetics in an interesting way where on the one hand, it's like, this is a biker gang and they're all like partying at this spot called the Electric Chapel. But then also we're like these ethereal, like neo, like Jesus times. Folk. It's interesting, like the mixture of like heavy and like light fabrics.
But then I love when they're like in the biker setup, it's just like they're in these like ripped up t-shirts and stuff, and then they're like, put an infinity scarf on them. Like they're just like these like like
they
beige
took like
and
some of the knitwear pieces from the other scheme and like just threw them on.
Threw it
for
on,
some movement.
which I love.
Yeah.
No,
it
totally.
is like such a funny like world building that's going on here between kind of, I mean, I think it's perfect, but I think
Totally.
it is totally hodgepodge in some ways too, where it is this like biker thing happening. But Gaga, you know, she has like her like leather jacket and the bandana, but the rest to me is like she's a queen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, but the blue leather ensemble.
Yeah.
Though I feel like that maybe bridges the gap between
bridges the gap for sure.
Biker queen.
So we basically are dropped into this world where it's really fast, really quick. And we're getting really quick dance moves, very Gaga x Laurieann, lots of arm stuff, lots of gestures. And the camera work is like, I don't even know if it's the camera work as much as the edit is so quick that we're getting like a lot at once visually.
It's almost
after that
like
highway scene.
No tea, no shade. It is giving like first time directors with Laurieann and Gaga, where it's like they're there and they're like, okay, we need to get coverage of this, and this. We're gonna do this thing like 5 times, and then we're gonna build it in the edit, and that's like what this is.
Right. It's like,
which isn't a bad way of working.
Yeah, it's like pop music video stuff where it's like we have these looks and you're going to do the choreo in all of these looks, and
we're going to do like a wide shot, we're going to do a tight shot. Yeah. It's like very...
So like for the first verse she's in the red look, but we're also getting these, that's Perry Meek, but we're also getting these kind of like spliced in narrative elements where we see Gaga entering this indoor space with Jesus in archive Christian Lacroix, and this kind of like golden updo situation.
I fucking love this wig. I love this hair color. I love this wig. I love this makeup look. It's so the blondes in this video are so good.
Like, I know, they're really like rich.
Yes. Like even her like more like, it's not even platinum, but the more platinum-y blondes still have this like warmth. But there's something about Gaga in this like, I don't even know, like coppery, rusty, blonde, strawberry, like, and the hair itself is like so, I don't know if it's because it's like shot on film, but like I feel like I like know what it feels like the way that it's styled, like,
yeah, it's honestly gorgeous, and it's, you know, we're like seeing her in this like beautiful archive piece and this insane beauty and hair, and she's kind of like grasping onto Jesus in this like crowded setting and kind of like protecting him a little bit, maybe. Like we're getting like this, she's kind of holding on to him and kind of like pulling him back, and she's like making eyes, and Judas is kind of like doing some stuff that we'll get into, but there's like not really a clear narrative happening. We just know she's with Jesus. She's riding with Jesus at this point.
Right.
And it is like this blending of the sort of Jesus times, modern day like biker aesthetic, and then also this like medieval Renaissance royalty. Yeah.
Right. And the way that I read that is like I see it as the medieval depiction of the biblical stories. Like that is how like church windows and illustrations and reliefs and diptychs and all that, like that kind of medieval representation of like what Jerusalem looked like to a bunch of like Europeans.
Showing, which is brilliant because at that time they were like, we want to show religious figures, the royal class wanted to show religious figures in the dress of the time to be like, this is like, the teachings are still relevant to us. And also, by the way, Jesus is only wearing clothes that the royalty can afford. So there's like a socio-political element. And so Gaga's kind of doing a similar thing where she's like, I'm showing this story with the dress of our times, at least for Jesus and the apostles. And, she might look kind of Renaissance-y, but ultimately it's current compared to
Right.
2000 years ago.
Right.
So it is this like meta, I feel like, conversation about religious storytelling and making it palatable or digestible for the masses. And that kind of gets into her whole conversation, I feel like. But all that being said, Gaga breaks out into the first chorus, the choreo that I think is one of her most instantly recognizable. I'm just a holy fool, throwing her arms in the air, doing her little step and her little heart hands in the black leather jacket and bandana with the hair tossed to the side, her midriff exposed, black tights, and these iconic McQueen fall winter 2011 thigh high boots.
Those fucking shoes.
Mm-hmm. This look had such a grip on me as a kid because for the reason I think I was just talking about, which is like my mom went to beauty school. I'm seeing that. My dad is a biker. My grandpa's a biker. And so I'm seeing that, but I'm also seeing my gay icon diva doing sickening choreography.
Yes.
And it's just it's so evocative of something. Like, it almost is like I can't talk about it because I almost want to say, oh gosh, this reminds me so much of Judas.
Right.
Because
right.
it's just, it is so referential, but it's so perfectly remixed to the point that Gaga in this moment, she invented a leather jacket and a bandana, and you can't convince me otherwise.
Yeah. And it's like this is like she is creating if Born This Way introduced us into kind of like the philosophical approach to the era, this video cemented that it's like, don't get it twisted, I'm still a fucking pop star, bitch.
Yes. And I'm like
this
Earth.
is a music video. Yes. And I got my
it is
Alexander McQueen boot on your neck.
I love thinking about these videos narratively, and I know we kind of touched on this last time, but the end of the Born This Way video, she's riding off into this burning city on a unicorn, and then here she's riding into the New Age Jerusalem with Jesus so he can be sort of praised and then condemned. Like I think about it as like centuries later, that woman on the unicorn is like in love with Jesus.
Right. It's like, how is the future actually before the past?
Right.
But in the world of Born This Way, it is. Like, it just makes sense.
Right. It's retro future. And I think now would be a good time to talk about Val Garland and the beauty in this video, because I think, as you were saying, that this kind of distills or takes it from a philosophical place to like a much more real, tangible place. This introduces makeup concepts that we will see for the rest of the Born This Way era. People were like, is she ugly? Is this horrible makeup? It's editorial.
Right. This was around the time where it's like two different publications could have the same Gaga look on like the best and the worst of the week. People did not, like, the culture did not know how to digest this new, because they were like, oh, we figured it out when she was like dressed like a blank, like, oh, she's an origami today, she's a this, she's a that, and now it's like, oh, well, what is she doing now? Is this how she looks? Do we even know what she looks like? Do we even know what her face looks like?
Right. And it's shocking to think about this video in particular coming out not even 3 years after The Fame came out, not even 3 years after her debut, not even 3 years, like way less than 3 years after Just Dance like charted.
It's also just so wild.
Yeah.
I mean, the freeze frame that I have right now pulled up, it's like, this was the face that we were like, oh, this is Gaga. And it's like this fucking crazy black brow.
Yes.
And we are so used to like bleached eyebrow Gaga.
Yes, totally. Yeah, and it also like kind of begins to call into conversation some of the other controversy that this video stirred up around cultural appropriation and the kind
Totally.
of mixing in of Latino imagery that's related to Christianity, and also like Latina beauty and makeup styles and techniques. And
Totally.
so as much as I'm like, oh, this was revolutionary for the time, I think I'm more so trying to say that at least in our lifespan, seeing a pop diva look this kind of severely beautiful felt revolutionary. But it's not to say that like drawing on your eyebrows in like a heavy black or like doing a big liner is something that like was necessarily new to anyone.
Right.
Yeah, I think that that's like an important nuance to call out. And I think that interestingly, this video has in that way has aged pretty well. I think people still understand this to be like iconic Gaga beauty, hair, and fashion moments, but I do think it's important to call out that, you know, there's like Chicana aesthetics being played with here.
Totally.
Yeah. And I don't think Gaga has ever spoken directly to that, but I think we can. But we can move on in this story. Next, we see Gaga in perhaps the most famous look from this video.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, which we had the pleasure of seeing in Las Vegas at the House of Gaga Museum. And it is this blue leather fringe jacket that is lined with, in the hood, with red bandanas. It has the Virgin Mary's Sacred Heart, Immaculate Heart, embroidered on the front with all of these like metal pieces and stones, Swarovskis and studs, and the same Alexander McQueen boots, and just some Capezio tights, bitch.
I know, that's what I love.
And thank you. Yeah, thank you to La Maison Gaga for those credits. But Gaga has a red bandana in her hair, and she is dancing in those skinny little heels.
Well, okay, so what is so wild to me watching this video back recently, it's like, I feel like because Judas has become such a fan favorite when performed live, like the dancers performing live are like killing it way more than they are in the video. Like, I don't know why, but like for some reason it just doesn't translate as well in the video, where I'm like, wait, is Gaga eating them up? Like,
yes,
right?
Yes, she is eating them up in this video in a way
I'm like,
that
did they
is
tell them to
suspect.
just like tone it down so she could just like dominate? Like, I don't know. It's like I watched clips of Judas live and the dancers are fucking going off. And it's like there's nothing wrong with what's happening here. But it's like the energy almost doesn't feel like cranked up to 12.
Right. And like she feels so dialed in and like honed in. And I'm not saying they don't. Maybe it was a situation where I mean, we can get into the lore of like, there were all these rumors that Francis Lawrence was going to direct the video, who did, you know, he did Bad Romance. And then there were scheduling conflicts. Then Laurieann and Gaga were like, we're directing it. So like, maybe it was something where they truly learned this 20 minutes before and Gaga had learned it 2 days before.
The set was a fucking nightmare. And they were like, I don't want to be here. I hate this. Like, that could also be a reality. Like,
right. Or like, the reality is that take 25 for the dancers is them being like, we're fucking tired, but take 25 is Gaga's best take.
Yes, because she like finally got it. Yeah.
That's our girl. That's a diva.
That's our girl. That's our fucking girl.
I love us writing lore about the day.
Yeah. I'm like psychoanalyzing everyone in this dance scene, being like, he's pissed.
And
Yeah.
there's just some like extras hanging out around the edges, and
Yeah,
they're
there's
kind of in
just
this
a lot of
open
bodies.
market. Yes. There's like this open market that they're in when
I'm like,
she's in
is
the
this
blue.
the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, or like the fucking
Right.
Tatooine at like where are
Right.
they?
Yeah,
Like
the Star Wars bar is
the
like
Star Wars
right next to them. Yeah.
the cantina band is like around the corner. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just it's funny, it's movie magic, and it's so pop video too. You know,
Yeah,
in a
totally.
way where like Born This Way was movie magic meets like extraterrestrial fashion editorial.
Right.
This is like the like pop girl music video really comes in a different way. Just even in
Totally.
like the way it's framed and stuff. It's fun.
Well, and there are some silly moments too where it's like drama, but then it's like Gaga does the thing where who is it? Is it Peter that she like walks up to and pats on the back and then like simulates a blowjob?
Yeah.
Right?
She's like doing this weird, and it's like, did they cut it because they're like, don't get too graphic? I don't know.
Right. She like
it's
slaps
really
his
interesting.
back and then just like gestures, and then it's like, wait,
I know, in a weird way. Yeah.
it's like, are you implying that Peter's a friend of Judy?
I know.
Dorothy,
and then
rather?
I don't know if it's her being like,
Tough.
love is like a brick. That's what
Right.
she's saying. Build a house, and like Jesus or Peter is the first pope. He's the foundation of the church. Like there's all of this. Like she's like, I know this thing about this lore, and I'm patting him because I'm talking about building something. And like I don't know, it just feels interesting.
Like, don't peter out, right? I think that's
like don't say you're with me and then like don't be with me. But
so don't be DL is what Gaga is trying to say right now.
Right. And so yes, and so it's a silly kind of moment, and I feel like it is her being a little bit like, I went to Catholic school. I know that this is the guy that like the house was built upon, the church was built upon. Like that's like Peter is the rock.
Okay,
that's like
so that's
what they call
funny
him too.
because I read it always as like, oh, he's the fruit, because I don't have that reference point or whatever.
What we have neglected to mention is that throughout this we're seeing Judas being a fucking mess.
Right.
And he like, we're getting these cuts of him kind of like womanizing a little bit and like smashing a beer bottle and being a
bar
fucking
fights.
drunk. Yes, like just being a hot, sweaty mess and drinking his beers. And Jesus is kind of like, girl, clean up your act a little bit. That's like what his face is giving. And you know, Mary Magdalene, aka Gaga, is a little bit like, clean up your act, but also you're interesting. You know, like, do they have history?
Right.
And that's kind of like where we are narratively throughout all that dancing and craziness that we just talked about. And then we're kind of in this, we're like in a room where the majority of people are seated, but the apostles, Mary Magdalene and Jesus, are standing. And it seems like they're on display, like on a stage of sorts, or something is happening. And I think with the context of Holy Week, this is supposed to be sort of like the public condemning of Jesus, and like the post Last Supper, where Judas is going to like reveal to everyone that Jesus is the person that you're after. The religious officials, the Romans, what have you. And Gaga is in this severely like religious leader, papal look that I love. And it is a dark green velvet dress. Actually, it's a catsuit. With this mitre headpiece by Perry Meek, and this giant cross, and this red plush kind of cape. And she's getting in the mix. Something is happening. She's getting in the mix. Judas and Jesus are about to have this confrontation. And she steps in front of Jesus and wields a gun as if to shoot Judas and kill him. But instead, a lipstick tube comes out of the end of the gun, and she smears it across his face. And she falls to her knees. And that's where we'll stop for now because the next piece is so perfect.
Yes.
But yeah, like it's this interesting thing of like, oh, Gaga's rewriting the story of the Judas kiss. Like Judas doesn't have an opportunity to kiss Jesus. Like I'm getting in the middle of it. Later we do see Judas kiss Jesus on both cheeks, and that goes with the story.
Right.
But she's interrupting to do this thing, and I don't know what it means. I think it's just fun.
Well, yes. And it's like, she's like, oh, I know that you are going to betray Jesus, so let me put your lipstick on while you kiss him, because I know you're about to do this.
Right.
So let me
it's
like her reluctantly co-signing and like acknowledging that like this betrayal is prophetic, and like there's nothing that can be done. So I'm going
if this has to happen. Yeah.
Let me pop some lipstick on.
Yes. Yeah, it's such an my Tumblr back in the day, my Gaga Tumblr was called Lipstick Gun.
So good.
Because I was fascinated with this moment and with this prop. I love this prop.
Born This Way is a very gun heavy time. It's like from Alejandro on, where
vehicles
guns were in. Yes. Gaga as Machine.
Yeah. Definite. Gaga as Machine, for sure. And she's acting, Your Honor. She's acting. She's doing the thing. She's looking back and forth between Judas and Jesus. She's torn as hell. And she wants so badly to be able to protect Jesus. But like you said, it's this, she's giving Mary Magdalene this almost like pre-prophecy awareness, as if Jesus let her in on something that he let no one else in on, and so she's meddling in the mix, but she has mixed feelings. She's
actually the magical one.
Right. She's the one who's like, I know what this means. This kiss means, or will mean, I guess. So the video cuts. The music, cuts at this point in this startling and very cinematic sequence, and we hear people screaming, and we see Jesus putting his hand out over the crowd as if to calm them, and we see like Gaga's not really there, and we see Judas kiss him on both cheeks, and Jesus looks very resigned to his fate. And it really contributes to a sense to me of like stakes. Like all of a sudden it's been pop girl video, and now I'm like, wait, no, no, things can't change.
Right.
It's really evocative of it's really evocative of that feeling of like something bad is going to happen.
Totally. And interspliced,
go ahead.
We have the cuts of Gaga in the bathtub with Judas and Jesus, and Gaga alone in this statuesque gold number with a wig of many hair bows, right? In different colors, like blonde, black.
That's what it looks like to me.
And she is posed the house down with a swell of water coming from behind her that's about to crash into her. And it cuts back and forth between Gaga in the bathtub, and it's very warm, and there's a crackling fire, and then Gaga on a rock waiting to be pummeled by this wave. It's very cool and damp. And the wave hits Gaga and takes her out, which I think wasn't originally supposed to happen, right? They were like, oh, we're just gonna like, I think that was the tea, was like the take that's in here is like she wasn't expecting to be taken by the water. So her reaction and her falling is actually like happening for real. But it's also like, okay, what did you think was going to happen? You're like 5'2" in massive heels. Like, and there's a lot of water coming. Yeah.
Yes.
You know,
this was kind of
her tailbone fucking hurt after that. She was like, ow.
This was also Yeah, the image of her standing on the rock with the water, I believe she like tweeted with the whole like let the cultural baptism begin. Like that was sort
Begin,
of
yes.
yes, she thought of this second single as a cultural baptism.
Well, let's break down the baptism of it all because there's a
Yeah.
couple things here, right? You know, she's in this tub and she's pouring water on their feet and like cleaning them, right? And then Judas is pouring beer on her ass and
Yeah.
like christening that.
There's like beer
It's like,
cans around both of them and they're kind of just chilling with their feet on rocks.
yeah. And
And
she
Gaga has
is,
this cunt Versace bracelet on, just like, and these big nails, and is like stroking their feet a little bit.
and is just in her capizios and a little dark green velvet top, perimeek.
This is also such a freaking good wig, bitch.
I know. It's my favorite wig in the video. Well, that's a lie because my
I
favorite wig in the
think
video
this
is
might be my fave.
I it's hard to have a favorite, but you know, I love when she's got a little beehive updo bouffant crazy.
Yeah,
and
I'm kind of like I have
wig,
3 favorite wigs in this video.
I'm like, how many wigs are there in this video? Because that's my number of favorites. I'm like,
not
5.
enough.
Yeah.
Add more.
Yes.
But it is this kind of visceral kind of cutting back and forth where there's some slow motion of Gaga kind of like stroking her skin with her nails, and she's in the like Christ-like pose, the cross like crucifixion like pose on the rock, and
As she
she's
gets
being
taken
swallowed
out,
by the wave, and it's, you know, another reverse deja vu, you know, looking into this video for this episode, that look, that kind of gold lame look that she's wearing on the rock reminds me so much of what she wears to perform Babylon in
Totally.
and Free Woman in the Chromatica Ball tour, which I just love seeing those little through lines, even though I'm sure they're not like intentional. They're just little things that my eye catches. And then the music cuts back in during the point that's like, I want to love you. Something's holding me back. Jesus is my virtue. Judas is the demon I cling to. And we do get these really tight close-ups of Gaga in her makeup, kind of like folding her hands in prayer and kind of serving some face.
Distressed.
Mm-hmm.
She's teary-eyed.
She's unwell. Yeah. And then it's kind of more of the same, of cutting between kind of pop video style, cutting between different dance sequences. We get a little bit of Jesus kind of being taken away, I believe. But what we don't see is any kind of real, you know, like passion of Christ or anything. It's kind of like, this is where we're ending it. Ending the Jesus aspect with Gaga falling to her knees and washing his feet and being confused and being drowned in her own cultural baptism.
And the last
and then
we
the
see of Jesus,
yeah, go ahead.
Right, is him. She falls to her knees and he bends down and kisses her forehead, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like taken away.
Yeah, it's sad.
Yeah,
it's really sad, actually.
And then it cuts to a clip of Gaga taking water in the bathtub and going and flicking it in Judas's face.
Yeah.
She's like, you bad guy.
She's like, damn you.
Damn
She's
it.
like, you're so annoying.
Right.
And it's
It
so
is giving,
funny when you think
it's
about...
giving that like couple that like fights at the bar that like should have gone home like 2 rounds ago. And it's like, oh God, here they go. It's Jesus and Judas and Mary again. These 3. When are they going to figure it out?
And it, you know, and in hindsight, before we talk about this last sequence that is so iconic, it is like a lot of the themes that she talks about, she's been talking about for a long time, right? But like with Mayhem and having multiple Gagas, here she's talking about being torn in this way, but she's kind of using the extras and the Jesus and the Judas to talk about it. So
totally
similar kind of concept. And then we get Gaga in another archive Christian Lacroix look in this black and white striped hair, posed kind of like a marionette, walking in her creepers as onlookers throw stones at her. And she
Yes.
kind of convulses a little bit and sort of is staggering and falls to the ground. And the ending kind of shot of the video is the camera kind of semi-circling her as she lays there lifeless looking at the camera. And she talked about how, for her, she said, if they're gonna stone me for this video, I'll just stone myself in it. And she felt like it was talking about the public's perception of her art. I also love that in the background of this scene with the extras, you can see people like fully just wearing like hoodies and button downs.
Yep. It's like the
they were
last
like,
shot.
we gotta wrap.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like they have their coats on, they're ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah. And it is like also a bridal look. So it's fascinating.
Yeah. And the single tear. We cut to Gaga's close up again with these funky ass eyebrows that are like feathered but tiny. The iconic eyeliner, the diamond mole. Like, oh God, it's just so fucking good.
There's so much like about pain in this video.
Yeah. It's like she's like, I'm a hot bitch on a motorcycle, and then it's like, oh my fucking God. Like,
right.
I am distressed. Yeah.
Right.
My fucking
demons.
God, literally. Like, he's
like,
right
literally,
here. Yeah.
Right. It is a fun, like, toward the end of the series, I do want to get into what I think the through line between all these videos is, and like how, like, at their conceptual core, they are all the same.
Yeah.
But I think, especially when we're talking about Judas and Born This Way, and we'll get even into like You and I, like this idea of the split self with the deities and Born This Way, with like her Judas self and her Jesus self and her being stoned. I feel like when she's being stoned, she's Lady Gaga. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's kind of a difference. And then in You and I, there's Joe Calderone and Yu the Mermaid and all of this stuff. Born This Way really get like these songs, these videos really give you the sense that Gaga feels so torn, and she uses the black and white hair like she has, like she did to introduce the Mayhem era, to talk about her split identity and her light and her darkness, and justifying them and trying to reconcile her own sins. I felt this video feels deeply personal to me, as much as it is like such a visual feast, you know?
And that's why it's so wild to think about like her at the time, like, not to take it there, but like the inner scope of it all and her management. It's like you can tell that there were conversations being had where they're like, how far are we gonna let her take this? And like the friction with Laurieann and that kind of, so I'm like, how far was she going to go? And not for shock and awe. And it's like Laurieann talking about the video in that way. Gaga was probably like, now we're taking XYZ out because it's actually not about that. It's not about me trying to be shocking. It's about me making art that the public might perceive as shocking because they are not exposed to the things that I am referencing and the things that I am like a fan of and that have influenced me.
That is so well said. That is like hitting the nail on the head, I feel. And even like today, posting about our Born This Way party coming up on Gaga Daily, somebody commented and was like, it's so crazy that like she was allowed to do this less than 3 years into her career and like make these like huge statements. And I was thinking the same thing, like, but what was she allowed not to do or not allowed to do? You know?
Right.
And like what did she, like, I do believe this is her full vision, but I also know how the industry works to an extent, you know?
Right.
And granted, she did direct this, but I wonder how much darker it would have been.
Right. Well, and then I like vaguely remember too that like, didn't this like premiere on E? And there were like these little like behind the scenes like clips of them talking, like Laurieann and Gaga in like director's chairs, like talking about like Gaga the filmmaker and Gaga the auteur. Like it's interesting that like, yeah, if it was that it actually was supposed to be someone else directing the video, they like were like, okay, well, this is what it is now and we're running with it. And like it's becoming this
Yeah.
thing where it's like I am making my directorial debut.
Yes, it felt like, I remember at the time her talking about it like a test run of her as like a world builder.
Right.
Not that she wasn't before, but like in this way where I think she really felt strongly about the Born This Way video and about what it meant for that song and for the era. But like she felt just as strongly about this one and was like, this is Born This Way, you know.
Right.
This is what the album's about. And I think that's what's so like fascinating about Gaga at this time, is there was no lack of passion for anything that she did, so that
At all,
everything
yeah.
that she put out, it was like, this is the best thing and this is the symbol of the record and this will tell you everything you need to know about me and my artistry and my album. But then she said that about everything. And so
Yeah.
thankfully we were like, yeah, we believe you. And I still do. Like, yeah, there's like no one thing is greater than the other. Chromatica.
Oh my God.
Bleep.
I heard one sign.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think too, also kind of like taking it back to the song itself and maybe like the pressure of like another Bad Romance. Like I remember, I think it was like Just Jared or some like whack pseudo publication that like heard Judas first or something and like put something out where they were like, it's a Jamaican bad romance with island patois. And I feel like that like really painted people's perception of like the affect that Gaga has in her voice in this song, which it is like, it's a characterized vocal. But I do remember that there was this kind of like, what? It's like, oh yes, this is her like tribal beat, and it's like, oh, I don't know about that. Like I remember there was like some weird early kind of like comparing it to Bad Romance and like trying to say that this is actually the hit from Born This Way, even though Born This Way, the song itself like broke all these records. Like people weren't happy that it was like an empowerment anthem, and they were like, oh, this is the, again, it's like the same thing that we're dealing with the mayhem of it all. It's like, oh, this is the real dark banger, like club industrial. Blah. It's like,
right, like nothing is ever enough. And
yeah,
I do think that there was something that she and her label felt they had to prove, to be like, oh, if you're going to call Born This Way a Madonna ripoff, here's the song on the album that does have the most like Gaga-isms that people have heard before, which is like a heavy dance beat, an affected talky verse, and then her doing syllabic kind of repetition like she does in Poker Face and Bad Romance, arguably the two biggest hits of her career to date at this point.
And now it's like abracadabra.
Right. Abracadabra does belong in the lineage of Judas.
Yeah, totally.
To moi.
Yeah, 100%. And it's funny because it's like, yes, this is what people claimed they wanted at the time, but then Judas, like, what was number 10? Like, you know, like, I remember like feeling like, oh, am I ever going to hear Judas on the radio? Like, you know, like, and then when you do, it's like, oh shit, okay, they're playing the deep cuts. It goes, like, this was the second single. Like, what? And then like Abracadabra became like 15 years later, like the song.
It is interesting. Again, like at this point where this is a retrospective, like this is 15 years ago. So it is interesting to think about like what this song has done like for her career, but then also like more in like a larger sense as well, like how freaky it is. Like the fact that this was like on the biggest pop star in the world, like on her album and her second single. And I'm like, I was walking the other day listening to it and I was just like, holy shit, I'm getting palpitations. Like the shit is wild. Like it's just so, it's so excessive. And I love that.
Me too.
And that's Born This Way, I guess. Again, we'll do this exact series in like 5 years and have more to say and completely different takeaways. After LG8 and Harlequin part 2.
Yes. Oh my God.
There will be all new context to look at Judas with, but
wait,
if you got to real quick this episode. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
A real quick Harlequinism. I saw a funny tweet that was like someone posting like a text conversation, a screenshot of a text conversation with their dad, and they like sent a photo of like them at the Mayhem Ball, and he sent back, "Did she sing Oh When the Saints?"
That's so sweet.
I was like, that's so fucking cute. He's like, what's
That's
that one
so
song she
cute.
has?
That song
Yeah.
she wrote.
That song she wrote from the movie Joker. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like his one
Oh my gosh.
cultural touchstone is like, oh yeah, she sings
Totally.
Oh When the Saints Go Marching In. Like what?
Yeah, that was great. Well, you know what they say. This is a Bible verse. A pearl a day keeps the Judas kiss at bay. And with that, we will leave you. And until next time, when we will be running around New York in our purple spotlights and smoky staircases.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thanks
We're
for
on the
tuning in.
edge.
Yeah. Oh, and also this episode is coming out like during Holy Week this year. So happy Easter, bitch.
Don't get
Perfect
stoned to death.
timing. Oh my God.
Okay,
and
bye.
with that, bye.